What's up, YouTube? This is Ultimate Shield 340 back at it again with another Destiny 2 video. So, in today's video, I am going to give you a brief overhaul, or well, not overhaul, but I'm going to give you my thoughts and ideas about the Stasis subclass for the Titan, which is the Behemoth class, as you can see up here. Give you my overall thoughts about it and sort of give it a ranking and explain to you the reasons why. So before I continue, just if you could leave a like, share, and subscribe, I would really appreciate that. Without further ado, let's go. So I'm going to sort of cut to the chase from the beginning and sort of explain to you that this may or may not be a hot take, so feel free to either agree or disagree in the comments down below and tell me your thoughts behind it and why. But I feel that the Stasis subclass is actually one of the best subclasses in the game as far as like fragments and aspects are concerned. And well, why do I say that? Well, one of both it's a double-edged sword in the sense that it has so many good fragments that it's really hard to create a build to get everything that you want or need. So, for instance, Whisper of Hedrons is actually ridiculously good. Although it doesn't actually tell you exactly what the values are, I believe it gives you, I want to say, plus 40 in each of the stats, like the mobility, resilience, and recovery stat. Um, there's no way to quantify exactly for me, at least, or if you all know a better way, by all means, please feel free to leave it in the comments. But I don't know how to quantify weapon stability, weapon aim assist, or weapon airborne effectiveness. I'm sure there's some value somewhere, but I don't know what it is. But, one of the biggest reasons why this is one of the best fragments is because it all rolls a whole bunch of things all into one. And with the -10 on strength, this is actually, you get so much value out of this fragment for something that's actually very easy to do in Stasis class. As soon as you free somebody, you get plus 40 to mobility, resilience, and recovery. So in effect, if you create a build, you could, in theory, get quadruple 100s in builds. And personally, I would actually get this fragment for the recovery stat in the event that you're trying to make a build and you can't quite get the third option, which I believe personally I would actually go for recovery after discipline and resilience. I would definitely go for recovery personally. That's just me. But in the event that you can't do that, as long as you have 60 in that stat, by freezing people, you essentially have a permanent upkeep of that, and then you can get, so much into this one fragment. So something to think about. Another one, Whisper of Fissures. This one increases the damage and size of the burst of your stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal, defeat, or frozen target. You get a lot of ad clear with this, and the damage that this fragment actually applies is actually very good. This is actually really good for ad clear and things like that, no matter what kind of build that you have. I think this is one of the probably a must-have in every build, but that's just my personal opinion. Whisper of Refraction, I think this is a niche case item, but depending on what kind of build that you're trying to use it for, I think this is also very good. Durance actually works with the majority of the big name skills in the Stasis subclass. The Dustfield grenades. If you are playing a Warlock, you are going to be able to benefit from this for, I think it's called Bleak Watcher. And it's just great overall. And I'm not going to go into each and every one of these fragments or anything like that, but I'm just going to kind of tell you something like noteworthy. Also, this Whisper of Shards, it gives you a ridiculously quick recharge rate on your grenades that you throw out. The build that you'll see me post, you'll see that you'll get your grenades back actually very quickly because of this. And I want to say it's like a 200% increase recharge on that. So that's ridiculously good. That's something that I don't think too many other fragments in the game actually provides for the people who utilize the benefit. And then Whisper Chains is good if you can keep it up Unfortunately, the downside is that it's counterintuitive with its own self. If you are freezing people or you're throwing out crystals, you're inevitably going to either shatter those crystals or defeat those frozen targets. And as soon as you shatter everything, then you essentially lose this buff. But it is very good if you can keep the uptime on it. Um, Let me see. The other part about it is like Whisperer of Conduction. If you use the Tectonic Harvest, you're going to be creating those crystals, and then you're drawing those to you, and then depending on what you have equipped, for instance, which is this fragment, the Whisper of Rhyme, you're going to get yourself an overshield in addition to all the other things that you can do in the Stasis fragment, Stasis subclass at large. So and then this Whisper Rending, this gives you a ridiculous amount of damage whenever you freeze a target and you hit it with a kinetic weapon of some sort. Um, it not only that, but it also allows you to one-shot crystals, so you can go ahead and get those shatters off very quickly. Um, most of the fragments in the stasis subclass are actually incredibly good or have a very good use case. There's only like maybe a few of them that I think is absolutely useless, because they're so situational, and even then it's like, there's other options that I could use instead. um, so for instance, this one is not as useful, only unless you're like using some kind of special weapons of some sort. I think that's probably the first thing that comes to mind when I'm using this. If I were to use this, but it's a niche case scenario. If you manage your ammo economy, you'll be fine. Um, what else? This one. This one's also kind of useless. I mean, you already get so many crystals, and if you generate a lot of crystals very quickly, you are going to get a lot of that back very fast. So, overall, um, I am actually going to rank the Behemoth subclass as a B minus, even though I just told you about how great the fragments are, the aspects for the Titan, and again, remember, I'm specifically only talking about the Behemoth subclass, the Titan subclass, and I think it deserves a um, B minus role here, because it just and I've sort of alluded to my personal opinion about this early before, where Tectonic Harvest is sort of a problem. And what I mean by that is that the only way you're going to ever be able to create stasis crystals is by utilizing this aspect. And you have to, as you're reading it, you of course have to spawn stasis crystals in order for you to take advantage of this aspect. Now, in my testing of this build, I originally tried to create a stasis class or use the Titan subclass without using this aspect. And it is, in my personal opinion, it is impossible. The other aspects that you have available to you, cryoclasm, for instance, I think it's great, like in the sense of, it has a very niche use, but especially when you compare it to the Shiver Strike. Personally, I like cryoclasm over the Shiver Strike, but again, it's a very niche case scenario, and you have to run and you have to slide and you have to use it, and then the range isn't that great. But I mean, it can be useful, but it's not that great. Howl of the Storm also, I've tried using this. It's great if you have a lot of crystals that you want to shatter, but why would I take Howl of the Storm when there is Whisper of Rending? Why do I have to run and shatter and slide and shatter all these crystals when if I have a fast shooting kinetic weapon, I can just shatter it without having to use this aspect at all? We should free up that slot for something else that's more useful. And my favorite aspect in the Titan subclass is the Diamond Lance. I think this is fantastic. Being able to give that option to spawn a Diamond Lance for both you and your party, and gives you that opportunity to freeze more people. It really frees you up. Not to mention you get 3 fragment slots with this as well. So um, I say it's a B minus as well, especially when you compare it to the other stasis classes where although you can shatter crystals with the other classes, the warlock and the hunter, they're not dependent on, they can create their own stasis shards by using, other things. They just defeat frozen targets, and that creates the fragments for them to use for, everything else. Speaking of which, whenever the reason why stasis crystals are such an important part is that Whisper Rhyme is like one of the best fragments in the tree, in my personal opinion, because you get not only the heals, but then the overshield. That's fantastic. It's going to go a long way in in-game content. And in order for you to be able to take advantage of that, you have to spawn stasis crystals. And you know, with the the Titan subclass, you are stuck using either Glacier grenades or your Hoarfrost Z chest piece, or any other exotic. I'm specifically looking for I guess it's called the Verglass Curve, in order for you to spawn these grenades, these crystals. And it sort of pigeonholes you into this thing of you have to shatter crystals. And if you love shattering crystals, by all means, go for it. I personally don't like it, only because, I'm trying to run and gun like the other classes, but I can't, because I have to stop and shatter crystals in order to get the full benefit, rather than being able to run and gun like the other classes. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts about it overall. I mean, I had already told you all that I believe that Stasis needs a slight rework. I had already mentioned in the previous video what I thought. One of the things I think they should do is maybe look at some of these aspects and like revamp them in a way where, instead of having to shatter crystals, what if you could just make an aspect where instead of having to shatter crystals, you can create stasis shards by, changing one of these aspects to do it like that, where instead of having to shatter crystals, it'll say something along the lines of, if you kill shatter a frozen enemy, then it'll spawn a stasis crystal at that target's location. I think that would be good as a option. This cryoclasm, I think, is more fun to use and easier to use in Shiver Strike, but I don't want to be pigeonholed into using like this or this, because I'll be honest, this Shiver Strike is actually terrible. And it's one of the worst melees in the game. It misses, it's slow, and it's hard to use, and even when you hit somebody with it, it doesn't really feel rewarding. And that's a personal playstyle thing, but just a thought. That being said, I guess that's sort of what I have in a nutshell. They should definitely change the aspects or fragments in a way so that it will, you can utilize the stasis crystals without having to shatter stasis crystals. And I don't know, that's just my personal opinion, and it just feels subpar compared to the other stasis classes. So those are my thoughts. Feel free to comment down below. Let me know your thoughts about that. And even with which reminds me, even with the changes to the stasis subclass next season, I think they're going to bring back where elemental wells are a thing. I think that's going to be a great change for the stasis subclasses in general. However, I still don't think that it's going to be, a game changer, especially whenever you compare to Strand. Strand does everything stasis does, but better. Even Whisper Change, where you get the resistance, the damage, damage resistance using Whisper Change. I can't remember exactly how much it is. I want to say it might be 30% or something of that nature, where Woven Mail is actually like, I want to say it's like 40% or something of that nature. So not only do you have to do more to actually gain a benefit from this, but you don't even get as much as Woven Mail actually gives you off the top of it. And with the Strand subclass, you just are able to suspend targets by pressing the button, where with this one you actually have to wait till they freeze, or you have to throw out the Glacier grenades or whatever it may be, and you're not even going to be able to like just you have to stop, and it's so clunky. So those are my thoughts. What do you all think? Feel free to comment down below. Otherwise, this is Ultimate Shield 340 signing off, and I'll see you in Destiny 2. Peace.